Welcome back, Flare community. I hope you're all well and having an incredible day as always. And right off the bat, wow, thank you so much, Maurice. That is very kind for the donation, $1.99. Very generous of you and very much appreciated. We've got David in the house. We've got the legend, King Karan. We've got Property Reach and Steve Lee, sorry. Yeah, what's going on today? Well, got a bit of a treat here because we're going to be listening in to this space from MoreMarkets. So if you didn't know, MoreMarkets have partnered up with Flare to offer a new account. And we're going to go through what an account actually is as a bit of a precursor before we jump into the stream. This starts in roughly 8 minutes time. Of course, we do have the preparations that they go through on the introductions, but let's talk about this because there should be some good news apparently. If we go back here, this is from Quantic. This is going to be fun, and there will be good news. So something I'm looking forward to. Maybe it's going to be a potential launch date for the MoreMarkets account. But what is the MoreMarkets account? So just to give you a bit of an overview, this is what their website looks like. And it's basically some sort of application that uses accounts to earn a yield on their XRP. As you can see here, they do this to the tune of 25 million. Eagle account, the Near Earn account, XRP Earn account. So maybe it's not specific to XRP, but I believe this one is using Doppler Finance, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, yeah, so it utilizes DeFi strategies to participate in the DeFi ecosystem and earn a yield and return that to the people that are in these accounts, let's say. What we're going to do is before we start this stream or before this this goes live, the spaces, I'm just going to give you a quick recap on what MoreMarkets actually is. Okay, so MoreMarkets chooses Flare to power the future of XRP yield. We know that this is in very much high demand right now. There's a lot of XRP that is just sitting idle, and with the launch of FAssets version 1.2, there really is an abundance of opportunities for institutions and individuals to start earning a yield by interacting with some of the dApps that are on the Flare network, whether it's a Gnosis, BlazeSwap, SparkDex, Flamix, or whatever it may be. There's definitely potential to earn a yield. So Flare is teaming up with MoreMarkets to launch the XRP Earn account, a new and secure way for XRP holders to earn a yield. This integration enables MoreMarkets on-chain yield generation strategy on the Flare network, creating a seamless XRPFi experience that is intuitive and fully on-chain. So this is the XRP Earn account, and I believe this is going to be the topic of the spaces today, which again is going to be starting in about 5 minutes. XRP holders can soon earn a secure and on-chain yield without navigating the complexities of multiple blockchains, bridges, or smart contracts. A user directly initiates the XRP bridging process from their own XRPL wallet through a dedicated feature on MoreMarkets. So this is abstracting some of the complexities. I'm sure many of you guys here listening will already be familiar with the FAsset protocol, but if you're a holder or you're part of the crypto community in general and don't know so much about the Flare network, it could be somewhat laborsome and definitely a barrier to entry there to learn about the application, how it works, integrating with, participating in the FAsset protocol, going to the website, minting your own FXRP, and then putting it to use. Basically, MoreMarkets is going to be doing this on your behalf if you choose to go with them, and I'm sure they will be taking a small cut too. The feature facilitates a payment from the user's XRPL wallet to the FAsset system, Flare's native bridge to initiate minting of FXRP. From there, the MoreMarkets platform will automatically manages a series of DeFi strategies on Flare, such as lending or liquid staking FXRP with Firelight to generate real yield. All of this happens behind the scenes, ensuring the user's experience is as simple as possible. all earned rewards are automatically converted to XRP and paid out to the user's wallet. This collaboration unlocks a new potential for XRP as a programmable asset, providing a straightforward and safe way for everyday users to participate in decentralized finance. So this is important here, how this differs from other XRP yields. The Flare MoreMarkets partnership creates a unique and comprehensive yield solution for XRP. It's a powerful value proposition, an on-chain, non-custodial solution that gives XRP holders a simple way to earn. Because the Flare mechanics are handled entirely by MoreMarkets, users will only interact with a single user-friendly interface while enjoying these benefits. So this is basically the thing that you need to take away. As members of the Flare community, you know the intricacies of the network, and if I'm honest, you should be utilizing these strategies yourself. You should be minting your own FXRP and putting it to use in ways that you see fit. Now, what MoreMarkets is going to be doing is handling all of that in one seamless experience for people that may not be as familiar with the Flare network and the various opportunities as you are. So it's basically a simplification of the process, and yeah, it's going to draw in a lot of attention. So from your perspective, you know, I would recommend participating directly in the Flare network and not going through MoreMarkets, because there will be some sort of overhead there, some sort of fee that they take in order to, you know, as their business model, let's say. So what it basically is an account, and that's what they're going to be talking about today. So we've got this here, this space, which again will be starting in just a minute. And yeah, we're going to listen in. I'm going to be turning the microphone off. I'm going to hang with you guys in the chat and see what is going on. I'm pretty excited, and I'm not sure what this news is that Quantic mentions here. I'm hoping it's a date. We're just going to have to wait and see. But, you know, since we do have the launch of FAssets, it's enabled these partners like MoreMarkets to integrate that workflow into their system. They're going to be, like I said, handling all of the complexities and abstracting that from the user. Property Rich, what time is this to start? It should be starting in just 1 minute. Of course, we do have the introductions and stuff, which often take a couple of minutes. But yeah, it's looking good. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat, and we'll just sit tight for now. Hey, who's? Take care doing your interview. Hope it's a winner. Zingo, what will send the Flare crypto coin higher? That would be more people buying than selling. Now, expanding further, that could be influenced by many different things, such as novel functionality and demand for FAssets, for example. But it's not directly correlated, or it's not directly influencing the price. The price is purely from more people buying than selling. Right, so we're on time here. Let's get this open. Look at the spaces. And yes, 12 other listeners. I'm going to hang tight for maybe another minute, just until this room fills. Normally they're getting people up on the stage and all this stuff, but actually it seems like they're already on the stage. So let's just listen in. And if they're already starting speaking, I will mute my mic. And if not, I'll probably just mute this conversation until they start with the actual content, right? Whoops. Don't want to be joining as a speaker. Nope. We just want to start listening. There we go.
Good morning.
Good morning.
GM. Right, seems like they're just hanging tight for a second. Talking about the minting caps, let me just check on something, because we do have it here while we're waiting. believe FTSO AU did post something. So this is 35 million. That's where we are right now. This week, we've got 50 million. So it's not an additional 50 minutes. It's 50 million. It's another 15 million. So going from 35 to 50. Is Firelight operational yet? Not yet. But as soon as it is, you can expect me to put out a video. And
Andrew, shall we get started? Since we have joining this people in the space.
Definitely. Thank you for coming, everyone. This is Andrew, head of marketing speaking. We have on this spaces, we have Altan. I can see already Quantic joined us today. There's some familiar faces here. Thanks for joining. Thanks, everyone. Super excited.
Okay, guys, I'm going to sign out now and we'll listen in.
Get started. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm Altan, one of the co-founders of MoreMarkets. Today we have a very interesting guest, Quantic, who's joining us from Flare. Flare is one of our key partners in the XRP Fi ecosystem. They've been around for a while, and they're an L1 that's specifically designed for idle assets. We share the same vision. I actually did a short post about this as to how I met Hugo, the founder of Flare, and how we decided to work together. But before we start, I'd love to give the microphone to Quantic to talk a little bit about himself and introduce himself and what he did before Flare. And Quantic, mic is yours.
Yeah, thanks, Altan, for the nice invitation. I'm super excited about what you guys are doing with MoreMarkets and the Flare account. I probably will have some questions for you guys as well, since I will be working on some tutorials at some point. But basically, well, my real name is Victor. At some point I wanted to stay anon, and that's why I go by the name of Quantic. It clearly didn't work. Right now, I work as DevRel at Flare. Before that, I was a DevRel at Medis L2. And I'm really passionate about building on chain and bringing people on chain and all the amazing opportunities that this space can offer. And I like to support content creators and builders of all types.
Amazing. So we'll start with, I think we can do a bit of a back and forth. You can questions. I can ask questions. In your words, what is Flare? The
Yes,
vision behind Flare.
yes, let me explain that because today I see our audience, I see some familiar faces, and it's interesting because we do have some people that are, Flare fans, so they know what Flare is all about, but we also have a lot of new people that are coming here, obviously, to support also MoreMarkets. So if you're not aware about what Flare is doing, is an L1 EVM compatible chain. Up to that, it doesn't tell you much, right? There is a bunch of other L1s. So what makes Flare truly unique is the fact that we have enshrined oracles. That means that when you're building on Flare, there are no extra security assumptions and no extra risk when you're calling external data. As you know, oracles, the main function is to communicate blockchains with the external world and with other blockchains. And in the case of Flare, these data protocols are part of the network, right? So this is a very unique thing. I am not aware of any other chain that has this infrastructure. And the interesting thing is what you can build with it, right? In our case, our main use case right now would be FAssets, which is the system that allows other non-smart contract platforms to get a representation of their asset on Flare and access DeFi on the EVM side, so to speak. So this is a very unique system and a very unique case that clearly unlocks massive amount of liquidity, and it's just one of the examples of what you can do.
Something cut out there? me give it a second, and if something's happened, we'll give it a refresh. Yeah, let me have a quick peek, see what's happening here.
Here, which is annoying, but we'll go back. Yeah, we're pretty excited about Flare. I think Flare is one of the ecosystems that just focuses on XRP alone, and has a really good brand in the XRP community. I know Flare. I know Hugo has been talking about XRP for a while, so I'd love to hear from you, Quantic, as to like how Flare came into picture with XRP Fi, and where does this all sort of XRP plus Flare hype comes from.
Yeah, I believe that the synergies is, of course, related to an old story associated with an airdrop, right? When this whole idea of providing uh, access to DeFi on the EVM side via Flare for XRP was born, and this happened quite some time ago. And ever since then, I think the relationship has evolved in which Flare has not only gathered supporters that are coming from outside the XRP community, but also a big amount of people that are in the XRP army, in the XRP community, builders, developers, creators. They are part already of Flare because they understand what we are trying to do. So I think that the XRP community and the XRP ecosystem has been broadly misunderstood in the past because somehow the lack of smart contract functionality uh, maybe wasn't very convenient for the rest of the world to easily grasp what they are doing, right? With all things related to payment. But if you study history and the evolution of Bitcoin and who are the original creators of the XRP ledger, you will learn amazing things and about like the technology and the solution and why they have such a powerful community. And for everyone that is listening today, if you're thinking about participating on the XRP ledger or XRP army community and whatnot, just do it. I 100% recommend people to just go and experience things, uh, bring some funds, use some of the applications there, and you will get to meet wonderful people. And I think that the same goes for people that are on Flare now, which is kind of a broader family in the sense that we bring people that are coming from the EVM side, right? People that understand how to build on Ethereum, the values of decentralization, and also people from the XRP ledger. So I would summarize that on that way. And I was wondering, Altan, from your perspective, or my perceived this relationship.
Yeah, so I can start how we start to work on the XRP ecosystem. So my thesis was, there was a Bitcoin Fi that happened last year, and there's a lot of layer twos on Bitcoin, right? I mean, there's a lot of discussions about technicality of those, but that doesn't really matter. But the thesis there is Bitcoin is a large asset. It has an ETF. It is now institutionalized in the DeFi ecosystem, right? And then after Bitcoin, the asset that really captures attention is XRP, right? XRP has been around for a while. It is older than Ethereum, the chain. Ripple Labs worked really hard to build a side chain, which is called XRP, as you mentioned. And what really struck me, I mean, we built two accounts for now, and they have like around 20 million in TVL. One of them is a what we call XRP earn account, which is earning from the Ethereum ecosystem. And the other one is obviously XRP Eagle account, which is essentially captures the inefficiencies within central exchanges. But really, when we thought about what's the third account that we can build, Flare is just, is the one that actually comes to mind. The reason for that is FAssets just launched. I think it was like been a month. And when I talk to Hugo and the team, I can see that there's a lot of design decisions were being made to make it a very decentralized ecosystem, but also make an economy that is just purely focused on XRP. So that's what I see it and how I see it when I talk to Hugo. Obviously, I understand that FAssets have a vision to expand to other assets like we talked about, Bitcoin, Doge, and others. But seems like XRP is the where the distribution is, and you can see from the traction, when people launch it, right? When you guys launch the FAssets caps, they just get filled immediately. So that's how I see it from the outside, really. But I'll turn back to Quantic as to maybe explain a little bit about, in simple terms, how FAssets are built. I have understanding of bridges and others, but I'd love to hear from your own words. I know that there's a lot of people that are, technical and non-technical backgrounds, so try to keep it as broad as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great question because at the beginning I mentioned, okay, we have enshrined oracles that are part of the network, and that allows you to build other systems that are unique. And FAssets, the technology that we use to bring to life DeFi for XRP, is one example. So, in very simple terms, this is a trustless, over collateralized system that allows users to mint DeFi ready, like kind of replicas of these assets that do not have a smart contract. That means XRP. That will mean in the future Bitcoin, right? So for XRP, we have an asset that is a one-to-one back that you can back to the origin chain, which is called FXRP. So what you would do from the point of view of a user is you would lock your XRP on the XRP ledger, and then you will be able to reserve some collateral on Flare, and with that proceed to mint FXRP. And once you have FXRP, you can access DeFi with this token, just like you would do with any other sort of ERC20 token on traditional decentralized finance. Now, I think that one of the key aspects that maybe confuses people sometimes about this system is the role of agents, right? Because all of this thing has a sort of decentralized architecture, but it does have some control components via the agents that essentially manage the infrastructure and operations of the facet system. And this includes holding the underlying asset, providing the collateral for minting and redemption, and redeeming the underlying assets for users. Now we have created a system that has, a way in which these guys cannot misbehave. Collateral that is mostly a unique piece that is there to make the collateral thing like more efficient, right? So the whole point for having this system built and how we utilize these oracles is because once you lock your asset on the XRP layer, how do we know at Flare that this actually happens? We need a way to communicate that information, and that happens through something that we call FTC verification or Flare data connector verification, which is part of our enshrined oracles. At the same time, you're moving assets back and forth, right? And you need to know what is the conversion rate. You need to know about the price feeds. And for that, we also have a specialized underlying oracles in a very unique way and allows you to communicate this information back and forth. I hope that that answered the question. And if I may, at some point, I would like to ask about how does it work on the side of MoreMarkets, right? Maybe not so much on the technical side, which of course I would like to hear, but also on the user side.
Yeah, this is a good question. So thanks for sharing all the context around Flare. I think we're pretty excited about the agent infrastructure and on the oracles that's on Flare. Um, we're thinking about a bit more of a staged approach, right? So stage one um, is the short-term vision. So stage one, people should come in with their FXRP. There's a lot of opportunities within the Flare ecosystem, and a lot of people are busy, right? They don't have time to study all these protocols. There's now 2-3. There's a lending platform. There's now a restaking platform coming in. We want to be the place where essentially people come in, they deposit FXRP, and we help them manage their funds within the Flare ecosystem. So that's stage one. But that requires still for you to bridge, right? Which is sometimes very complicated for users. What I want the vision to be is a bit more simplistic, right? So a lot of people are comfortable using Zaman Wallet. A lot of people are comfortable using the XRP ledger, which is pretty basic interactions, right? Like just sending XRP or signing a transaction to send to deposit XRP. If XRP Flare account becomes successful for us, for MoreMarkets, I would want people to just come in from the XRP ledger directly, deposit into the XRP Flare account, and just like what happened with the XRP Eagle and XRP Earn account, um, with the technology that we have, we manage the funds at the back, right? So I'm pretty excited about that. I think abstracting bridges and all this complexity is a big step in the crypto ecosystem. We saw that in the Ethereum ecosystem, right, this year, where there's a lot of cross-chain logic being abstracted, and I'm quite excited about bringing that to MoreMarkets users. We already did that for other XRP accounts, but really the focus here is for XRP. And then Hugo was super excited about that too um, when I talked to him a couple of months ago, and that's how we started this relationship. So I'll put that back, given we're going in the conversation flow, Quantic. Or Victor. That's Victor's a better way to use it. But I'd love to hear more about of the data that you guys have seen as to how people are using FAssets. Would you be kind enough to share some of the information about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, for broader context, right now we have a cap at 35 million of XRP that you can mint and it's filled. Each week we are lifting this by about 10 to 15 millions. There is a public schedule, you can check that out there. And the thing is, though, that what we have seen that I find like fascinating is that once people are minting, about 60% is put to work directly on DeFi, meaning on lending and borrowing protocols, LPs, and you can even use your FXRP, which again is the FAsset representation of XRP on Flare. You can even use it on perps and use it as collateral. Not that I'm advising to do so, but if you like risk and you like, playing with perps, you can do that. Um, so that's one important thing to note, which is like 60%. You can say it is a lot, or you can say it's not that much, right? We're offering very good incentives. So what is going on? You might wonder. And I did this question both internally, externally, checking the data that I have at my disposal. And what I realized is that a lot of the people, some of them, of course, they want to see more maturity in the DeFi ecosystem and these protocols before putting their FXRP to work on certain protocols. That's one thing. But another and more important portion of the population that is not using their FXRP to get yield, they are waiting for Firelight. So Firelight is a staking protocol. Um, it's a traditional, I would say, in that sense. It will offer some bolts as well, and there will be, when it comes to bolts, by the way, I'm not really an expert, but I know that there will be a lot of alternatives that are being cooked right now, which is part not only of Firelight, like strategy and implementation and partnership with Flare, but also from other partners that are coming. And this is something that I want to highlight as something that most people might not be aware of, which is this effect of now that we're bringing the liquidity bring more eyes into your protocol, into the asset, into the different applications, and not only users but also builders start thinking about, maybe I could try this, maybe I could try that. And actually curious to know from your perspective, Altan, what do you think this is going? Like, where do you think this is going in terms of the variety of products that you might be able to offer and strategies that you might be able to implement for more markets once Flare DeFi keeps growing?
Yeah, so we have interesting. We definitely looked at Firelight. We're interested to offer that to our users. There is still obviously we're waiting for it to be launched. At the beginning, I think we'll do just the landing side on Flare. That's quite on kinetic. I think that's the best way to earn something on Flare right now. But we're quite excited about um, staking and restaking. That's actually where we worked um, before XRP. We actually built on Eigenlayer, which is the where the idea comes from in the Ethereum ecosystem. But what I think it's quite different with Firelight versus Eigenlayer is that Eigenlayer had a promise that these protocols will pay token emissions back to the users. But in the case of Firelight, I think what we're excited about is like writing insurance to other DeFi protocols. It's definitely something that we're quite interested. Um, yeah, so the other pieces, obviously, to build. This has been an idea that's pushed around. We still haven't committed, and but we're looking for someone to build. There's ideas to build something like MXRP, right, where you can just take FXRP, just like what Etina did and others did, is run it like a basis off chain on exchanges, or let people borrow stables against FXRP and deploy that into um, yield opportunities, right? Like stables are still the best way to earn yields on DeFi. So we're quite excited about that. I think that um, basis trading, definitely something that people can do. People do that with Bitcoin and XRP. Definitely lending, right? Lending is pretty. Um, it's pretty prominent in DeFi and definitely in TradFi too, right? There's a lot of people that lend against a lot of assets. So yeah, those are some things that we have in mind. Love to ask Quantic. I know you guys have been doing like almost opening the caps in different time zones, right? So you've opened up, I think, in the US time zone, and you also did that with Asia. So what are the learnings you guys been seeing in the sort of how um, people have been consuming those caps, and what are some insights there that you guys have seen?
Yeah, that's a great question. Maybe the main takeaway would be that there is a strong appetite for both, right? In the sense that Flare does have some strong partnerships and institutional deployment that are going to be taking place, that's for sure. But right now, none of those have been taking place. So the only thing that we have seen right now, the like all the data that you can gather comes mostly from retail users, which is quite an amazing thing if you think about it. And I think the reason is because Flare has built this good brand that they always like are community driven and oriented, and they give the access and opportunities to everyone. I think that that's great, but also a strong sort of educational program because like you mentioned, I know that this is one of the, I would say, small but still like point of friction, which is that sometimes it can be difficult, right? So if you right now actually want to mint FXRP and you have a wallet on the XRP layer, you will still need an EVM wallet to mint and reserve the collateral, right? So it includes connection to both, right? XRP layer and Flare at the same time in order to for you to get on board. Once you are on board, it's fairly simple and straightforward. It's just like doing EVM DeFi on any other chain, and we do have like the traditional stuff with DEXs, borrowing and lending perps and whatnot. But again, when it comes to like retail, it has only taken a few hours. The last one was a little bit slower. We did it on a region that was kind of in between. And I think that going forward, and I'm sorry if this disappoints some people, we're going to see a little bit more of slow minting process for these lots. By the way, remember that each lot is 10 XRP, and this is how we go about the minting process. You mint lots. It's going to become a little bit slower, but once the institutional deployments and some of the, let's say, bigger partnerships with Flare and some maybe exchanges come into play, I think we're going to see a big push. But, my recommendation is that if you're a regular user, just give it a try. I think that that's the best way to learn, anyways, right? And, the incentives are certainly very good. Of course, I cannot give like any sort of financial advice and blah, 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 but just go and look at numbers, right? They're very good, and that's one of the main reasons why within just a few hours, people in every single place of the world, they have been able to mint their FXRP, and they have been able to put that to work.
It's an interesting point on institutional DeFi, because just by today, I think we're seeing a lot of decentralized and decentralized worlds to collapse, right? I mean, Coinbase has been acquiring 2, 3 protocols on the decentralized side. We actually have been talking with the big asset managers on our side, like hold, I don't know, 600, 700 million worth of XRP. They're still not there yet, but they are interested in DeFi, and they're exploring the ways that how they can earn on DeFi. And obviously Flare is one of the ecosystems that they're quite excited about. They're just waiting, and I guess like it's still gonna take time for them to come in, but I'm very optimistic that this will happen in the next sort of 3 to 6 months, which we're quite excited about. So I'll love to maybe think a bit more about what's the most exciting project that you see in the FAsset ecosystem today? I know we talked about Firelight, but do you have any, as Quantic as Victor, what are you most excited about?
That's a good question. I've been thinking a lot about it, actually. Of course, Firelight is one of my favorite ones. Like, I'm gonna be staking the moment they go live. I'm gonna be staking one of my portion. I think that, a lot of the people are just waiting for that because it's just the way they're used to operate on DeFi, and that's fine. Like, that's cool. I will do that for sure. But I'm also excited about the CDPs and OSIS, which is one of our largest protocols. They are working on this solution that will allow you to mint the stable coins by using your FXRP essentially. And I think that that will give rise to interesting, value propositions and, a sort of playground for having more stable coins on Flare. Of course, we do have USDT Zero, USDE, like the main stable coins that are available on Flare. There are some very interesting yields, by the way. But beyond that, I think that also we will see some interesting use cases from community-driven projects, right? Because okay, there is DeFi 100%. If you ask me, that's going to be the main use case and the main utilization for FXRP. But now that we have these other, the smaller maybe, but equally powerful communities, some of them coming directly from the XRP layer and thinking, oh, okay, I can now build my, I don't know, gaming project on Flare and I can have FXRP and then I can redeem back on the XRP layer. There is a bunch of things that you can play around with those ideas. I think that that's something that I'm very curious to see how it evolves. Community always, can surprise you if you work alongside them, and I really enjoy that. We even have here John on the space from Flare community, and he's one of the leaders when it comes to the NFT side of things on Flare. Why not having something with FXRP? Like it can make a lot of sense. There are some strong NFT communities everywhere, right? So yeah, I would say for me, I'm a stablecoin guy. I like that. It's a huge part of my portfolio. Always, I like to remain liquid. So I'm also a holder of XRP and FXRP. So if I can utilize both at the same time and get some extra yield, I will certainly, participate on that. And what about you, Altan, in the sense that what is something that you think Flare could be like unique in terms of the rest of other value proposition for XRP Fi? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, so before we dive in there, I'd love to explain what CDPs are. So CDPs are over collateralized stablecoins backed by digital assets. So a good example of this is MakerDAO, which launched in the Ethereum ecosystem and was backed by I think it was ETH, Bitcoin, and some of the stables. It is over collateralized in the sense that if you put, let's say, $1 worth of Bitcoin, you can only get certain 0.6, 0.7%, 0.6, 0.7 worth of stablecoin, right? And the challenges there, which I think Flare can solve pretty well, is if you have an ecosystem that's only designed for XRP, and if you have a CDP for XRP, you can actually make that stablecoin accepted on all the markets on Flare, which allows you to have utility, which then allows you to use that in lending markets and all the other DeFi markets. So we're quite excited about that. That was actually one of the first things that we thought when we came to the XRP ecosystem, is to build something like that. But Flare is obviously advanced in that ecosystem. We wanted to start with lending and borrowing, which is the most important financial primitive in DeFi. What I'm excited about, I think, you know, an ecosystem like Flare allows you to have both, right? You can have very simplistic smart contracts, but you're not taking that much risk as a user. That's what we like. Like, we want to start with low risk and give like 2-3%. But really, the profile of some users are quite different, right? So some people hold, let's say, $100 worth of digital assets, and they want to take a bit more risk with their $3 and $5. So I think Flare will eventually, with all the ecosystem and with the creators that come in, like Santora, we're quite excited that there will be some opportunities, what we call looping, which is a bit more leverage, but some users would want that, right? Like, just like what happened with Ethereum, there would be DeFi so I'm quite excited about those opportunities. I'm quite excited about people coming in like Santora, or other hedge funds like MEV Capital, RE7, coming to the ecosystem and building these products for retail, because what we really care about at MoreMarkets is to give opportunities to folks out there that are not institutions, that are just sitting in their home and want to participate in these opportunities. So obviously in their own risk on Flare. This is the main stablecoin that we use on Ethereum. It is, Ripple Labs is the issuer. We're quite excited about those, and we've been actually working on building something for our USD on our side. It's been obviously taking time, but we're quite excited about if there was something with like RL USD available there, and that's quite a good flywheel, right, for XRP. If you think about it, is that the more XRP gets locked, the more RLUSD is driven to the ecosystem, and then you create a flywheel as to how you could boost both of those products and benefit the XRP, the asset. So those are some three thoughts that I had. I'm a bit, although you mentioned about the perplexes, I'm still a bit skeptical about that for XRP. Just that, it's quite it's a good innovative approach, but having talked to a lot of XRP holders, I think they're more likely to do low risky opportunities rather than high risky. But you never. Sometimes you give that as an option, and people like you, Victor, if they're willing to take more risk, they can, right? So that's the whole idea here. So overall, pretty bullish on the Flare ecosystem, and that's why this is our third account, right? We're building that. We actually built that. It's very soon to be announced and open in the app. So quite excited about that. Just to pull this back to you, Quantic, I've asked this to Hugo when we had an event in Singapore, and I've asked this to Georgios as well. What are the signs that you're seeing in the market today that really shouts and say, "Hey, this is the time for XRP DeFi." Have you seen any comments and emotions from the community that makes people excited about it?
Yeah, I think we have seen some. Look, for me, I'm a dev role, right? So for me, the signal really lies at the devs. When the devs are looking into something, and most of the people are just ignoring that, but the devs keep pushing, then you know that something is going to happen, right? You know that, they will build something, and then people eventually at first, of course, there was some division and on how, the risk associated and whatnot, and self-custody and how decentralized and blah, blah, blah. But now we are seeing something very interesting in terms of alignment with the builders on the Flare dev side and also on the XRP layer, because Flare is implementing something that is called Flare Smart Accounts, which on the first stage would be essentially an XRP ledger controlled account. So what you will do to keep it simple is just you will be on the XRP layer and you will be able to press a button and get yield on Flare. And in the back end, you will have these smart accounts taking care of all the work that needs to be done, right, from the technical perspective, and that's kind of cool. And then we're seeing then a lot of people that are really hardcore builders on the XRP ledger kind of joining Flare in that sense and supporting it openly, because they now see that clearly this wasn't like, we're here to take your liquidity kind of thing, but rather we're here to complement you and to help you and your users and to bring value to you, because we are like XRP holders just like yourself, right, at the end of the day. And so, for instance, Saman, they are going to be integrating this technology with Flare smart accounts, and that's going to make it like very seamlessly, very smooth, very easy. And I'm pretty sure that when that kind of thing gets like really embraced and implemented, we're going to see a lot more of traction. And at that point, I think that, if you're an exchange, for instance, a centralized exchange, and you're not getting like good yield on XRP, certainly you will probably be wondering about this now that we have all of these technologies implemented. So I would say the main signal for me to summarize would be the activity that is taking place behind the scenes between the builders that are both on the Flare network and on the XRP ledger.
Yeah, I see it as kind of like again, it's a staged approach, right? So I like categorizing things. So like I think the step one is smaller capital come in, right? So people who hold small numbers of XRP, they come in and they deposit, they learn a bit more about it, and then hedge funds come in. I think that's where, or institutions come in, right? Where Centaur can come in and contribute in the Flare ecosystem. Then there's been a lot of discussion about DATs deploying on chain. That's quite interesting, right? Where you have a stock listed in New York Stock Exchange that raises debt or some funding and acquires XRP or any other digital asset, and then they go deploy that into, let's say, FXRP or deploy into MoreMarkets and earn a bit more to beat their AMNAV, right? So that's quite interesting. And then I think what you said about Quantic is like exchanges, right? Where the most XRP sits is the move, because and that's not the yield that I think people are willing to take risk on, right? Like, because it's, you're just deploying. Certain times you have obviously custody of your assets, but still you're taking smart contract and bridging risks. But then you have the other side of the coin, which is Nexo, right? Like Nexo pays a lot um, on the XRP side. But at the same time, Nexo is from that generation of, BlockFi and others. So you have to be a bit careful there, right, in terms of what risks you're taking. But nonetheless, they've been running for a while, so they should, they've obviously learned how to take risks. But that's how I see kind of the step, right? Like it's a stage approach. And at some point, like XRP yield, XRP DeFi, all these things are pretty common. I mean, this is going to happen, I think, with exchanges coming in to on chain, right? Like Coinbase. I think 2 years ago, it's been almost 2 years now that they launched an L2. They now offer opportunities on their L2, which is a blockchain on the Coinbase wallet. Now they're acquiring companies that they'll allow them to do um, on-chain things, right? On blockchain things. Now I think people will follow, right? Bybit has just announced today that they'll do a launchpad. And I think for XRP mainly, people hold their assets on Uphold. And I know that Uphold has been exploring opportunities for users on exchanges. And I'm quite excited that will obviously take some time, but that's where the trend is going, right? Well, with all the yield opportunities and so forth. Okay, so if you were to look at like 6 to 12 months ahead, um, what does success look like for Flare and the XRP Fi ecosystem, you think?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've been thinking about how would I define success and in terms of like metrics and whatnot. And I think it would be really the fact that we successfully built the most powerful decentralized finance ecosystem that people can find for XRP. If in 6 months we have achieved that, I personally would call that a success. Of course, you can put numbers into it. I think Hugo talked about a few billions, right, of XRP on Flare and whatnot. I think that's fine. And really, you need deep liquidity to do more cool things, right? That's important. But I think that as long as we do have the strongest offering and the most easy kind of access and onboarding experience for people, I think that that will inevitably put Flare in a unique position, which is already there, right? We are, depending on how you see it, we could be considered the number one. Certainly, we could be considered the number one L1 chain for EVM DeFi for XRP. That's unquestionable. You can compare them protocol by protocol, and then there would be difference, of course. But we're getting there. We're getting to that point, but there is still a lot of work that needs to be done in terms of more DeFi experiences. Like for instance, we're talking about Firelight and staking and whatnot. Yield trading is also coming, very important. I don't know much about that. I'm a sort of DevRel oriented for the tech, and I need to learn DeFi now, and I find that fascinating. Uh, and so, okay, we will have this very, I would say, complex, rich, and with a variety of options also for XRP holders, because something that I think you mentioned previously, at least at the surface level, it is that okay, we're offering a decentralized solution here for doing like real DeFi, but of course, there is different kind of risk appetites and different user profiles, right? Some will prefer solutions that are controlled by, a sort of fund manager with balls and whatnot, and that's completely fine. I think that if we can provide all the possible alternatives for these different user profiles on a single place, that's what I would call a huge win. And I think that you guys are going to be a very important partner uh, that is going to help us achieve that, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. I see it as like a billions on chain and is pretty doable. I just saw a dashboard the other day that was essentially just like filtering all the XRP opportunities all the way from all the way. It's all on chain, right? It's not decentralized exchange sort of opportunities, but more like Axelar, Flare, MoreMarkets, Strobe, and others. So that's good. It's at 200 million, right? So I think it is pretty viable to say. I think over the next year we're going to hit a billion number, and it's very possible as there's a lot of banks that hold XRP as they come in on chain. As there's more clarity, I think those numbers are achievable. So that's why I see going forward, it's like billions on chain on XRP. That's I guess happened to Bitcoin, right? With the wrapped XRP, I see that happening with us, with Flare, with Axelar coming forward. So I've just been getting a couple of questions. So for the Flare account, I know we have a lot of users that's been asking about Flare. Our target is to give around 4% APY. That comes from the Flare kinetic market. As we obviously see Firelight come in and there's opportunities there. We'll eventually allocate some of the funds there. But what really is core about MoreMarkets here is to just to diversify your yield, right? I think Quantic asked a good question about what vaults are in the Ethereum ecosystem, and what they do is essentially they diversify your risk, right? They're like a structured product in TradFi where you're not exposed to just one risk, but you're exposed to a basket of products, which essentially helps you to get exposed to low risk, right? So we're quite excited about that. I think building that in the Flare ecosystem and building that for XRP, because some users are they care about obviously the APY, how much they get, but they also care about the risk, right? So having that kind of a bit of a basket approach is quite interesting going forward. So amazing, Quantic. So let's get to the last words. We have maybe like 5 minutes um, to finish it up, and we can go from there. And I also have like one or two announcements after that will just conclude. But how do people follow you? How do people follow Flare? And what are some exciting things on the roadmap that you can talk about?
Thank you so much for giving me this space. Well, for the people that want to connect, well, of course, feel free to DM me. I try to reply to everyone, actually. If you want to build on Flare, of course, I'm probably your number one resource. And of course, you can visit our documentation page. We work on that tirelessly every single day. And for Flare, of course, you have to follow the main Flare account and only follow like official announcements, please, and official links and all that. We care a lot about security, and participate. I think that the most important thing that you can do is, just get some FXRP, get some XRP, start playing around, start, testing the applications, start getting the yield, right? We're doing this for you to put your assets to work. And the best thing that you can do is just take action, right? And make sure for the people that are educators here, which I see quite a few, that you help others. I know that you guys are amazing and the Flare community and also the XRP community in helping one another. So let's keep that on track as we announce new deployments. And as for future news, I am not sure what I can share. I can only say from the tech perspective that I'm very excited about the implementation of Flare smart accounts and the unlocks that this will facilitate. I think that people are not, yet realizing the power that is behind this, and also really when it comes to the numbers, right? Rough numbers, we do have 35 billions of XRP, and there are billions that will be unlocked. So there is a huge opportunity gap here. And I think that, it's good to reflect on that as well and make sure to try to contribute.
Yeah, thanks, Quantic. And I'll talk from our side. More Markets, you can go to moremarkets.xyz. We have a pretty simple app to use to earn on XRP in a broader scale now, right? We're actually launching Flare account today. That's the alpha that we wanted to share in today's AMA. That will have 4% APY. It'll be a vault that's on Flare, and that would first start allocating to the Kinetic, which is a lending market. But as we see more opportunities, it will just give you more yield sources in the Flare ecosystem. So we're quite excited about that. If you want to learn more about us, obviously More Markets Twitter account or X account now, that's how people call it. X account is the best place to go. And we try to share daily updates there on yield, on what's coming, what are the products. Recently, we've been pretty excited about opening up real world yield opportunities to our users. So that would be that any yield that comes from gold, I would say oil and silver. Those are quite interesting markets that we've been exploring to open that up onto stablecoin depositors. But the main focus has been up until now to XRP. I also think that a lot of people joined here. We've been asking about when the Kiter rewards are coming. So we will be releasing them soon. And they're quite excited about that. And we also have some guidelines through Darky and Saint as to how to talk about more markets. We're really all about opening up opportunities that people didn't have before and using the crypto rails to be able to let them access, right? So XRP was our first almost like an MVP. But we're really more about that. We're pretty excited about stablecoins taking the world, and we'll be designing more and more products for those as well. Well, thanks for joining. Thanks for your time. Time is the most important asset. So thanks for being here. Thanks for putting comments and emojis all around, and love to see you guys in the next EMA with maybe maybe more with Flare. I think I would love to have Hugo with on the spaces pretty soon. He's a great speaker, and he's a great guy to talk about ideas, and he has a background in AI, so as I am. So it's quite interesting to talk some of the topics with him. Yeah, see you guys in the next spaces.
Well, there we go, guys. It did end quite abruptly, but yeah, that was the space, and they did make an announcement that the Flare smart accounts, oh sorry, not Flare smart accounts, the MoreMarkets Flare account is going live today. So again, this is something that if you're watching this, I wouldn't recommend it because we can already participate in Kinetic. So let me just Kinetic Markets Flare, right? Give me a second. So if we go here and have a quick peek at this, launch the app and look at the APY for Kinetic for ourselves. Let's go to supply and borrow here and click on this. And you can see XRP. What is the yield that it's offering? 0%. So I don't know, maybe something's dodgy going on with the interface. Maybe it's because I don't have my wallet connected, but oh, here we go, look. So as you can see, the distribution APY is 4%, and that's in the form of RFLR rewards. And that's what they're targeting. So it looks like they're not going to be skimming that much off the top. Basically, MoreMarkets is offering a service where they do all of the complexities on the back end for anyone that's holding XRP that wants to earn a yield. But you know, if you are watching this YouTube channel and you are subscribed and watching the videos constantly, you should know how to participate in these protocols yourselves, right? We should all know how to interact with Kinetic, and I feel like, you know, knowledge is power, and having that understanding on how they work is only a good thing. I'd recommend doing everything yourself, but you know, this is more targeted towards those who don't necessarily know how to interact with Flare, maybe the broader XRP community that haven't yet dabbled in Flare, but imagine them days are coming very soon. So that is pretty much the video, guys. I would like to thank you all